Hello, Internet. We are Cinema Brawls, and welcome back to our show. I'm your host, Daniel.
I am Matt, but you can all call me Matt.
I'm sorry. I'm Jake, and I have a habit of interrupting people while they're speaking.
It's a very stupid habit.
You're a stupid habit. And you're ostentatious, and a little bit ludicrous.
Today we're doing The Revenant and Pitch Perfect.
The Revenant is a 2015 movie directed by, and I apologize for this, Alejandro Iñárritu. That was probably wrong. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hardy, and Don Gleason.
And the Eyebrows Kid from everything where Eyebrows Kid is in.
Like Narnia and We Are the Millers.
Oh, that Eyebrows Kid.
Yeah. It's about Leonardo DiCaprio, who gets attacked by a bear and left for dead by his men. He treks across the snowy wilderness to get revenge on the guy that killed his son.
Right. And then our other movie is Pitch Perfect, directed by Jason Moore back in 2012, starring Anna Kendrick and Rebel Wilson. About a group of college students who join an a cappella group, or I guess create an a cappella group, to go on and sing beautiful a cappella songs. For those of you who don't know what a cappella means, it means to...
sing without accompaniment.
It turns out I didn't know what a cappella meant.
So,
What are your first impressions?
my first...
Jake?
Oh!
You see how I turned it around?
It was like, I wasn't expecting that, and then it happened. My first impressions are that I'm going to go for The Revenant on this one. I mean, as much as Pitch Perfect is a good movie and it's, unique and really fun to watch, The Revenant was insane and just kept you on the edge of the seat the whole time.
I don't know about the whole time.
The whole time. I was pretty much, feeling stuff that was like, I was feeling dread, I was feeling like, dismay, worry, just for this one guy. And then there was like the cool aspects of revenge and, Tom Hardy being a jerk and all that. There was a lot of intense emotion that I don't feel from every movie.
I am probably also going to go for The Revenant. I was a little bit more down on this movie, just because I felt like it was a little bit too long in some spots. Not that it was a bad movie by any means, but there were some aspects I felt like could be better.
I feel like The Revenant will probably win because it was great. It was intense.
It was fine.
It was long.
It was good.
But maybe since you two are voting for it, I might play devil's advocate a little bit here. I know I'll probably still vote for The Revenant most of the time, but I'll try talking up Pitch Perfect
That's
here.
kind of a good thing to say about Pitch Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, how are you going to compare, a decent comedy movie to the greatest movie of our generation?
Well, I'm just kidding.
I just want to see Daniel's face. But a good movie.
That was worth it. Good job.
I hate you guys.
Sweet dismay.
Shall we? On your mark, get set, brawl. Oh, I was the only one that did it that time.
You suck. Anyway, so the story. So for the story, I'm going to go with The Revenant on this one because of a couple of reasons. One, based on true story.
Always a plus.
Always a plus, especially something as strange as getting mauled by a bear, left for dead, and then surviving. In the actual story, he didn't actually get revenge because he didn't have anyone to get revenge for.
Right. It was just added to the story for effect.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Some artistic liberties.
You gotta admit though, it's a basic plot line, but the story was so intriguing and I don't think it's been done before.
Not like that,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
There is actually another movie based on the same story called Man in the Wilderness.
Okay.
Came out in the 70s. And so it's been done before, but not to this effect.
Yeah.
And one of the things, the director also directed Birdman or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance, and won an Oscar for that as well. And that whole conceit was the long takes. And one of the things that I like about movies like that is the long takes, letting the staging, the acting, and just the area and set or nature in this case take front and center stage rather than the fast-paced editing.
That was kind of, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, I think it speaks volumes about a story who can have, such a long, or I guess a lack of dialogue through a lot of it, and still keep you entertained.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And holy cow, Leonardo DiCaprio absolutely won his Oscar for this.
He deserved it.
I made the joke that he won it for Titanic, but holy cow, did he act his butt off in this movie.
Yeah.
So something I was going to say about the nature part of it is I never thought that looking at the same snowy pine tree forest clearing would be interesting, but it
They
was
found
interesting.
a way.
Yeah, like every single wide shot of the landscape was just like, it was
Gorgeous.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though
It was a very beautiful movie.
It was.
Like, even certain scenes, like, for instance, I don't remember why, I found the particular scene where Leo was eating that raw hunk of meat. I'm like, that's a good looking raw hunk of meat right there. Turns out he was actually eating it too.
Right.
Actual raw liver.
Yeah, which, I was impressed by, but just the whole
He's
movie
vegetarian,
was-
by the way.
That's why that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, even that scene there, I was thinking like, wow, this looks really good, just visually. Yeah.
So now if I could talk a little bit about the story of Pitch Perfect. I feel like with a lot of comedies, and I've said this before, I even said this last time with Role Models, is they try to nail down a specific premise. Like with Role Models, how about we do a movie about a Big Brother program? Okay. How about, and then hijinks ensue.
Yeah.
How about have we made a movie about a cappella groups yet?
Have we
Let's do that.
It's like a sports comedy, but through a musical group. There's
Right.
the new person, the outsider, who just has all this great skill, but needs to learn to work as a team.
Doesn't work well with others.
Yeah.
That's actually very true, and I do love me some sports comedies, which is probably why I like Pitch Perfect.
I mean,
Also-
don't get me wrong, Pitch Perfect.
I think they did
decent
a good. I think they did a good job with the story,
First one.
Yeah.
regardless of how simple the premise might
And
be.
as far as a comedy goes, like they got it a movie that's pretty interesting, and you can sit down and rewatch.
It's
Not
definitely-
every comedy is like that.
That's true. It's definitely fun. I think the musical part of it helps. Pitch Perfect was simple, and they managed to pull a great story out of it. How much simpler can you get than The Revenant, though? Guy gets attacked by bear, left for dead by men, gets revenge on men.
Even
Just from plot point to plot point, very, very simple, with a lot of good depth to it.
It has some complicated subplots.
I know. With
So-
very little dialogue. But anyway, story.
The Revenant.
Revenant, for sure.
Now on to characters.
Anna Kendrick's hot. I think we should give it to Pitch Perfect.
So Revenant,
Kendrick is hot. Almost every girl in there is just gorgeous,
A lot of them, yes.
including the men. I'm
Alright.
kidding.
I'm not.
But
Right, so
at least, it may be played out for the comedy effect, but they all have, their stereotypes, Anna Kendrick's the edgy new girl, and,
Who's better at everything because virtue of being the protagonist.
right, there's, this girl who's the outcast, and the comic relief, and the snobby leader, and the one who can't let go of the past, or whatever. They're all kind of stereotypes, but at least that makes them memorable. The Revenant had good characters. I mean, there's a couple that you had to pay attention
Two
to.
good characters.
It has 2, maybe 3 good characters.
what about the bear?
You're right.
4 good characters.
It had 3 good characters.
It's just
Bear was one note and you know it.
Fair, he didn't really have an arc.
he was all
died pretty soon.
And she.
She.
You're right. It was long. But besides those 2 or 3 characters, questionably 4 characters, they all are wearing the same color of clothes. They all have the same beard and
Though they do
gruffness.
have admittedly the first openly ginger table tennis player playing the captain. So, man, I really like him. He's great.
I do too.
But like I felt like even though a lot of the side characters, and maybe it's just me, a lot of the side characters did fall through the cracks, but the important ones you knew and remembered.
You knew what they wanted.
There were the other ones, specifically like the chief's daughter, the French guys, a lot of the extra Americans.
The Native American guy that he found and rode on his horse for a while, and then he just gets killed in the next scene.
But one thing that I liked about those characters is that they all felt fleshed out. They all felt like they had a history that these were real people with real problems and emotions and ideas that were just cogs in the bigger scope of things. And I felt like it did well to do world building, and because it didn't hold your hand and you didn't sit there and, okay, so we're gonna spell out what all these characters are doing, it just made the world feel more alive.
They were awesome characters, don't get me wrong, but I feel like, in Pitch Perfect at least, the characters' growth was more obvious, and there was a lot more of them. And honestly, they did, the thing that every comedy or tons of movies do before, character has a hard time fitting in or finding a place in the world, and they find a group of people to help them through that.
For sure.
And they all become closer and grow together.
Right.
Which, sure, tried a million times before, but true. It's good, it works.
And that's why it's a formula. I still am probably going to give this to the Revenant, though.
You voting for it?
I would give it to Pitch Perfect.
So it comes down to me.
My colors.
Yeah, I think I might go Revenant this time too. I agree. Every character felt like they had their own backstory that we didn't necessarily need to go into, but the little bit we got worked.
And if nothing else, Leonardo DiCaprio's character is better than everyone in Pitch Perfect.
Why don't we go make out with him?
Please.
Alright.
Okay, so rewatchability.
Yeah, rewatchability.
Now here's where I make my stand. Pitch Perfect is infinitely more rewatchable than The Revenant.
100%.
Yeah.
It's a lot more fun.
1,000%.
Like
It's like an hour shorter. Holy cow, is The Revenant such a long movie.
You introduced that like it was going to be this big controversial topic we'll discuss and fight over, but we're on board.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Revenant's long.
Revenant's amazing.
I don't yes, every single shot of the trees is beautiful, but I don't know how many more shots of trees I can take. If 20 minutes of your movie is just shots of trees, you can cut that down to 5. There's one sequence in particular where Leonardo DiCaprio is running after Tom Hardy to get his revenge, and they're in this forest. And yeah, it's really pretty, but it cuts from Leonardo DiCaprio looking around for Tom Hardy, and then just to a shot looking up at the trees for 3 seconds, and then back to Leonardo DiCaprio just looking. I would have much rather just cut that tree segment out.
It does kind of hurt the suspense of this is the final battle. He's finally found the man that killed his son, but look at that tree. Isn't that nice?
We've seen 2 hours of trees by now. It's fine. We know what they look like. It's okay to not have the trees.
Well, I mean,
Alejandro.
Yeah. I don't feel like The Revenant was meant to be a movie to be rewatched, though. I feel like, at least not immediately.
It's an experience.
Yeah,
for sure.
Which, nothing against that. I mean, this category is probably the most biased category, but it is there to give, a little boost to those movies who need the help.
For sure. Absolutely.
But yeah, I would say, you have that long movie with very little dialogue and, kind of goes on. Or you have a movie that's really fun, hilarious, and, has awesome renditions of famous songs.
It's true.
Makes it super easy to watch.
renditions of famous songs.
May I just say, the beginning part where Anna Kendrick is showing off, oh yeah, I'm such good at music. And she's
perfect Anna Kendrick impression.
Thank you.
I know, right?
When it's showing and she's mixing together the I'm Gonna Be 5,000 Miles song and Titanium. That's not original. That's a mashup that exists that is done by somebody else at least a year before that. At least I had discovered it and was listening to it a year before that. And then it shows up in the movie and I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. And then everyone's like, oh, that song Anna Kendrick did was good. I'm like, it wasn't her.
She did Cups.
She did do Cups. You're right. Never mind. Just wanted to throw it out there.
Yeah. Rewatchability.
Pitch Perfect.
Pitch Perfect.
For sure.
Merits in genre. Now, hear me out. The Revenant came out 5 years ago now, because it's 2020. But I feel like a lot of people don't really talk about it a lot. It's known as the movie that Leo got his Oscar for, finally.
True.
But like, beyond that, I don't feel like it gets talked about as much. Pitch Perfect may be simpler, but it also was good enough to get two other sequels,
True,
maybe another one.
Comedies are easy to make a sequel off
And
of.
they're a lot cheaper. It's a lot cheaper to make a sequel to a $6 million movie than a $160 million movie.
Right.
That's true. I just feel like a lot of people recognize Pitch Perfect easier, if that makes sense. Revenant was great. I just don't know if it really changed the way that
The
movies like
layman
that.
did not watch Revenant as much as people think that they did.
Right.
Cinephiles like us watch Revenant and Pitch Perfect, but my mom did not watch The Revenant.
Right. But that's the thing, though. I mean, Pitch Perfect got the sequels. It was a comedy, and so it stays, out of obscurity as much. I think if we take away the sequels, especially the one that came out 2 years ago, Max, would people still be talking about it?
Probably not.
Pitch Perfect obviously is better known, but that comes along with the territory as a comedy. That's why the genres are separated. The Revenant, kind of like Daniel said, I mean, it did its job. It got the awards. It got merits.
That's true.
It does have merits. It got Leo his Oscar. It got Alejandro the distinction of being one of 3 directors ever to win 2 consecutive years of Best Director. It did not win Best Picture because The Revenant, I guess.
Yeah,
gets this one.
I think so.
By default.
By default.
It's just, Pitch Perfect had an easier time. I mean, they were going for a light jog and maybe they won their marathon, but, Revenant hiked Mount Everest. That's better.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, thank
Good
you.
analogy. Good analogy.
Well, speaking of emotional impact, we'll probably just end. I'm good with giving this one to The Revenant.
The whole thing was emotion.
Absolutely.
The whole thing was tension and, worry and...
Every choice he made was fueled by his emotions.
There are very few single shots of emotion not directed by Steven Spielberg than Leonardo DiCaprio just staring into your soul at that final shot of the movie.
I agree.
I'll be honest with you. I watched it today at work on my phone. And when I should have been doing my real job, I was just enthralled by that final battle. Even though it was a simple knife fight.
They did not hold anything back.
No.
Just the hatchet going and cutting off fingers.
That's exactly what I was about to say. When he just brings down the hatchet on his fingers, I audibly went, oh! And this customer walked by, I'm like, oh, sorry,
In other movies, that would be a whole beat in the fight scene. Very few people can take more punishment than Leonardo DiCaprio. The only other movie where somebody takes as much punishment that I can think of is The Raid.
Yeah.
And that's only barely.
Right.
We've been talking about how long it is and how it doesn't have a lot of dialogue, but for a movie that had all that, for better or for worse, I was still invested.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The movie was good.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it wasn't the perfect movie, but it's something that I really enjoyed.
Oh, yeah.
It's no Dark Knight.
Right.
But,
I mean, Pitch Perfect, had emotion too, but that was more of
Sure.
Oh, that's pretty funny. Oh, they're singing. That's nice. I
knew that song.
That was
Yeah.
fun.
Hey, that's something 12-year-old girls getting excited about.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so
Yeah,
emotional impact Revenant.
And that gets 4 out of 5.
It's not a cinema knockout because holy cow, it's a long movie.
You're right. It's rare to get a cinema knockout.
Except for that string of like 3 movies a few weeks ago.
Right.
Well,
What do we got today, Jake?
Daniel gets to answer first.
We're doing Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
Oh.
Age of Ultron.
Oh.
See you next time.
Bye.